Hey, Sean. Welcome back to the Slasher and Sean podcast talk show thing that we don't quite have a name for. The SS is still up for discussion. No. It is not up for discussion.
Rod, just get to the topics, man. Get to it.
Okay. So, since we last left off, a bunch of stuff has happened. Also, I think we made a little bit of news last time that we spoke. One, EMEA LCQ finished. The APAC LCQ qualifiers finished. And NA finished. And Crew went on to win their incredible run to the World Championships that it came out of Asia, and Giants and Na'Vi squeaked through into from EMEA to the World Championship. This morning, China for Masters 2 was announced, and we'll get into all of that in just a little bit. But from where we left off last week, the big news that I revealed that we spoke about for a bit was that Aspas was having difficulties within Loud. And since then, I have been yelled at for about the past 72 hours by the entire country and a lot of people on the internet, which I will say I am used to. So I'm here to clarify a few things and give, kind of my thoughts on the situation. One quick clarification, as I'm not sure I was completely clear when we were talking about it. When Aspas was staying in Los Angeles, and Loud was going, back home, that is why they were scrimming with another player, because obviously Aspas was not with them. Doesn't necessarily mean that the player that they were playing with was going to be, the actual replacement for him, but it was because he was not there in the first place. I just wanted to clarify that situation. Now, as a general response to all of this, I have been reporting on player signings and moves from different from players to teams pretty much before any other person in esports. As a journalist, I had been doing this for 15 years, almost 20 years now. As a whole, I was pretty much the first person within this industry to report on where players were coming and going, all the way back in the Quake 3 and Quake 4 days, and then predominantly where it started and where the esports was getting really big back when StarCraft 2 first came out in 2009, 2010, and 2011. Now, I had been doing this since then, StarCraft 2, Counter-Strike Go, Overwatch, quite
Rod,
often.
you were being so wordy. I'm just going to get to the point for you here, okay? Well, I know what you're getting at. You're just so goddamn wordy. It's driving me crazy right now. So all you got to say is that when people report this shit, the players and the teams have no option but to deny it. That's all you need to say. I know that's what you're getting at right now. That's just how it is. What are they going to do? They're going to admit it? No, they're not going to admit it. No matter if your report on that whole Ospas thing is true or false, the reaction from the players is the same. We both know that. We've both been here for a couple decades. They would never do anything different than that reaction. And I warned you when you made that video. I was like, bro, all they're going to do is deny it. It's going to be he said versus he said. And we're going to end up in this situation. Now, is that what you were saying right there? Because I feel like that's exactly what happened, and that's what you're getting at. Like
that is pretty much where I was going. I just want to say, look, I've never had to retract the story. The amount of times that a player has denied it, then the team has denied it, then they've yelled at me in social media, then all of their fans have yelled at me in social media, and then the thing that I was talking about happens in 2 weeks later has happened more times than I can recount.
Yes.
So if you don't want to believe me, that's totally fine. We will see in a couple months when Aspas, I would give it a 90 to 95% chance that he is gone from the Loud after this season.
I'm going to actually go against the grain with you, though, because in my history of esports, I agree. What you said was likely true because your sources, whatever, told you that. But when these things get made public, the chance, it might have been 90%, but that chance has now dropped to maybe 50% because now there's like a new atmosphere within the team. Like you've changed everything and they're going to
put them together.
Yes. Like low key, I've seen this. I've seen reports that I know to be true actually make the teams stick together. And it also, like I was saying on Plat Chat, like I low-key think Loud is going to play well at Champions, because teams that have fractures like that, where it's blatantly obvious to the players and the community now that there's problem within the team, they're going to grind still. They're definitely going to try their hardest, and there's not going to be so much pressure on the players. And I've seen, for lack of a better word, dead teams make some serious goddamn runs in esports tournaments, like to the extent of like winning them, right? Like they play their best in these moments because of the lack of pressure. So, and winning, like I said in that video, winning solves everything. So honestly, that video might have changed how this plays out. But I do think that you probably were correct in the video, even though I obviously have no inside info.
No, there is no probably. I absolutely was correct. No, and I actually think everything you just said right now and on Plat Chat is pretty much what could happen. But I have gotten some additional information.
Oh shit, the tea.
I am now going to add on from my previous report, which is completely accurate, onto this now information. What I have learned since is that Aspus had, because all of their contracts are up at the end of the year. That's one of the main issues, is that Aspus went to the Loud organization to ask for a raise and for a renewed contract, and Loud would not renew his contract or give him the raise that he wanted to, which is where some of the frustration is coming from his side. Additionally, part of the contracts that Loud gives to their players forbid the individual players from signing with outside agents, which is the standard for not just all of professional sports, but all of esports too. Almost all of your favorite players and all of the big players across all the major esports have their own independent agents to act for the best interest of the players. But within the Loud contracts, Loud wants to act as both as the team and the agent for the players.
Wait. Does that mean that like they obviously have to send the players the contract? What stops the players from getting like an agent to look it over and then tell the player to go change whatever terms?
That is true, but from what I understand, none of the players did that, and all of those terms are still within all 5 players currently under contract from Loud.
I will say
that only change.
Well, they have 1-year contracts. So, like, honestly, Loud did kind of hook them up. Like, even though I do think it's weird that they couldn't have an agent, it's kind of crazy that Loud gave the number 1 team in the world, they just won champions, 1-year contracts. Like, without right of first refusal, apparently, because someone told me from League of Legends that's not allowed in League of Legends contracts, which, coming from Counter-Strike, that was in a lot of our contracts. So I guess it must not be allowed in Valorant. It must be a Riot thing. I don't know. I find that very odd that they give them 1-year contracts.
Yes, I find it odd too. They were probably put off by what happened, everything with Sasi and Pancata and them leaving towards Sentinels. Like, those guys did not have independent agents until they were able to leave Loud. As soon as the season ended last year, they were finally able to get an independent agent and then get their contracts with Sentinels. But because of this clause, that is not going to help the negotiations with Aspus or any of the other individual players. So that is part of the tension here with Aspus and the organization, not just the players themselves with Aspus and the rift between how much they think he's been dedicated to the team. I will say that sources from NRG say that the report that came out a couple days ago that they are interested in Aspus is not correct. And that, from what I understand, that is NRG has not offered, or they are not looking for Aspus for next year, and that they are very happy with artists currently. But I think obviously that is a situation that could change. However, Sentinels, I still think definitely is an organization that can be in play for Aspus. I have heard they have definitely potentially offered Aspus a major contract going forward, at least some from last year, and they are definitely interested in that for next year. So the NRG report is not true, but the Sentinels aspect definitely yes, the energy situation, I believe, is bullshit. The Sentinels aspect definitely is in play here.
Ooh.
So I think next year Sentinels, all things can happen for Sentinels. I still think there is I think like 90% chance that Aspis is going to leave Loud next year, even though that I think definitely to your point that could decrease because of the reporting. Now they're going to come together and they're going to go on a run and they're going to win champions. Definitely possible. I think there's a 90 to 95% chance that TenZ is no longer going to be on Sentinels next year, either from the organization standpoint that they no longer want TenZ, or from TenZ's standpoint that he would rather leave and either be as a full-time content creator or streamer, or even try to put options at another team. And that would leave open a prime duelist position for someone like Aspis to potentially team up with Sasi and Pancata on Sentinels next year. I think that is a very real possibility going into 2024.
That's super interesting. I mean, I kind of figured that the NRG report was BS, but because like I know those players would never do something like that, like the CS players on that team before champions. And if it was true, it would be from like the higher ups at NRG that the players like, they're just probably like, hey, putting out a feeler, like what's going on with this. But I still don't even believe that happened, because I've also talked to the people at NRG and I don't believe that would happen. But maybe I'm wrong. The Sentinels thing, yeah, their season's over. They have every right to, just field offers. I think Sentinels is in a very powerful position as far as like their placement in this community. Like they're showing they're willing to like buy the best players, build the best team, do anything to win, and they have an insane brand and they'll grow the brands of their players. Like that's a very rare org in Valorant, in my opinion. So I think that's like a hot destination. And with Osmos being on the open market, I think it's certainly possible. It's certainly possible. Do I think it's like a lock? No. I mean, there's so many moving parts and stuff like this. And yeah, I mean, we both got messages from Fraud after the last video, and he clarified some things.
Definitely wanted to clarify some things. Definitely sent me about 37 DMs with all types of different things he wanted to let me know very firsthand how he felt about my reporting in that video.
Yeah, he did it. He did let us know that like Osbus has received the offers and like in the past and probably will moving forward and stuff like that. And yeah, his contract is up at the end of the year. And yes, they did do some scrims while Osbus was in the States. There was a lot. Yeah, he was obviously pretty upset because they probably wanted that in-house. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that.